Hey guys, and welcome to another The Good, The Bad, and the Ugly video looking at the best parts and the worst parts of the year in Warframe. I started this last year, definitely planning on carrying it on. 2016 has been a long year for Warframe, from all the things that we've enjoyed in the game during the year to the frustrations caused by the war within. It's been a very bumpy ride, although one I feel is back on track now the end of the year has rolled around. We've had some good things this year, but we've also had some bad things too. So let's have a look at my pick of the year's stuff. Let's start off like I did last year, which is a bit of a strange one because unlike last year where I had so many to pick from, this year we've only had 3 frames. So unlike last year where I did a best and a worst frame, I'm only going to do what I feel is the best frame of this year. And with only Inaros and Titania to pick from a couple of weeks ago, I'm so glad I held off on making this video because my frame of the year is Nidus. Nidus is a frame that came with a quest that honestly, it left me a little disappointed, and I'll talk about that in the podcast we're recording on Friday, because I didn't feel the quest itself was really about the frame whatsoever. However, no spoilers here, after completing the quest, there was something that immediately got me excited for the next part, because those that have Nidus now will know what I'm talking about. His story isn't quite done yet. However, the frame itself is amazing right now. A perfect blend of tankiness, huge damage, crowd control. The skilled use of all his abilities combined with a maximised build can really allow him to do some pretty amazing things. There are a lot of frames that rely on damage in Warframe that just do not feel viable at those really high levels, where the damage has dropped off to the extent where crowd control is the only useful thing. However, Nidus is a perfect example of how to do a pure damage frame. His damage doesn't come to him immediately. It needs to be built up, making him amazing for endless missions, however somewhat weaker in the non-endless ones. But once you do build him up, he can be unstoppable. There are some people calling for a nerf to him already, but I think these people need to take a long hard look at themselves and ask why they want the only frame where damage scales well, and reduce the game back down to crowd control being the only viable option at higher levels again. At the end of the day, it relies on being able to use his first ability to damage and to kill enemies to actually build up his stacks. But if you've got friendlies that are also doing the same thing, if you have multiple Niduses even, they conflict with each other. They can't build the stacks as much as they want to. And really, it is a maximised build and played well to get the damage. A poorly played Nidus still is a poorly played frame. Nidus, honestly for me, is a perfectly designed frame. He needs all 4 skills to be able to master him. He's not easy to play, but he is very hard to play well. A masterpiece of design, and one that I'd be extremely sad to see if we get hit by the nerf bat. Inaros though was a close second to Nidus, however I feel his kit is a lot weaker than Nidus as a frame. He has insane tank ability. However, his only real standout feature for me is the ability to combine his first ability with covert lethality, which honestly I absolutely hate as a playstyle, which is why Nidus stands out so much more than Inaros for me. I rarely use his second and third ability, and his fourth ability I mainly only use for the extra armour, although the CC it does provide is alright. He doesn't have the same synergy of powers that Nidus has, which means that I actually feel like I actually play Nidus more than I do as Inaros, rather than Inaros just soaking up damage while he's effectively a very, very tanky weapons platform. Now the rework of the year for me goes to Necros by quite a long way. I absolutely love the way they changed him. I know there's going to be forever the argument that Desecrate is less effective now than it used to be, but the ability to just activate it and then actually play the game instead of spamming 3 the entire mission is something that is so understated it's unreal. My experience with loot farms as Necros previously was that you ended up putting your feet up, spamming 3 the whole time, not actually playing the game to be honest. Now you can run around, shoot, melee, do whatever you want, play the actual game. Do what you find fun rather than being a stationary loot generator. Plus the changes to Shadows of the Dead made it just so much more usable. I didn't like the original Shadows, I felt it was too clunky, the AI never did anything you wanted to, they take cover and just never move again, tying yourself to that area until they ran out. However, with the new recast mechanic, you aren't tied to a specific area. You can move around, follow the flow of the enemies, the flow of the fight, keep on killing without worrying your shadows aren't going to cooperate. I think it was an epic rework and something I've been really enjoying regularly since it came out. So we've done the frame of the year, rework of the year. We've had a whole bunch of weapons this year, some of them good, some of them utterly crap. So let's have a look at my top 3 and bottom 3 weapons this year. My top 3 weapons in 2016 were in no particular order: the Pirate Cannon, the Tsar, the Bullet Hoses Axamati Prime, and the mechanically interesting Zenistar. Now the Tsar was released reasonably recently with the War Within update and has immediately become a fan favourite. That mix of insane damage from either the shotgun mode or the significantly more dangerous explosive mode, the status chance, the looks of the sound of the thing, the reload, this thing was always going to be loved by the community. And the best thing about it is that while the weapon is insanely powerful, you also have the very real chance of blowing yourself up, meaning that you have insane damage but great danger to yourself, exactly how all explosive weapons should be. The Axtiletto Prime just could not be on the list. These are my go-to secondary weapons for everything now. I absolutely love them. I used the normal Axtilettos a bit beforehand, although they were pretty terrible. So I was excited to see the new Primes come out, and that mix of the visuals, the crit, the status hybrid, accuracy, fire rate makes things absolutely shred at higher level, while spreading status procs around like crazy. There was no way this could not be on my list of the top weapons of 2016. And we have a first here, a top weapon for me that is a melee weapon, and that's the 300-day login reward, the Zenistar. The weapon itself looks fantastic, performs fantastically as well as a standard melee weapon. However, when you use a charges hack as well, combined with something like a gas electric status build, the Zenistar takes its place as one of the top melee weapons in the game. You can lock down entire avenues of approach from enemies by a well-placed charge attack. If I don't use this thing anywhere near often as I should do, but these last couple of days I've started to go back and use it again. You just don't know when you're missing. It is a very truly awesome weapon. But let's be honest here, not every weapon this year has been fantastic. We have had some that are truly awful, and some that are just truly forgettable. So here are my 3 worst weapons of 2016. This is my own personal opinion. You might not agree, however I'd love to hear your list in the comments. The first on my list is a combination of those two things, awful and forgettable, and that is the Gextroll machete. A mechanic on a melee weapon tied to a sentinel that explodes at the first sign of something wrong. Damage is just pretty pathetic, and then you have to deal with the absolutely hate-worthy machete stance. The only thing I liked about this was the looks of it. This was a level it and forget about it weapon, and I completely forgot it existed until I was making this video. Unlike this one, I remembered it existed, but I still think it's terrible. This is going to upset some people, but my second worst weapon of the year is the Rack to Dart Dagger. Sorry to all you covert lethality enthusiasts out there, but a single mod doesn't make a weapon good. If you remove covert lethality from the equation, the passives on the weapon don't make a lot of sense on the weapon. Overshields relying on proccing status on a weapon with low status chance. The damage is rather pathetic, as is the range. The weapon itself is awful. The only reason people love this thing is because it's the new best covert lethality carrier, nothing more. I leveled it, did the video, haven't used it again since, because I hate covert lethality gameplay. So this weapon just has nothing to offer me at all. Just like the final weapon on the list, which I found fun at the time, however once that new car smell wore off, became a very forgettable rifle, and that is the Stradivar. Despite looking and sounding great, the auto fire I found fun at the time got nerfed, and the semi-auto got buffed, making both rather mediocre. It just didn't stand out from the crowd and was almost immediately forgotten. I know that some have gone back to it now ribbons have come out, and maybe that's helped bring this up a little bit. But the standard weapon is so forgettable that most people just want to get rid of those ribbons as soon as they get them. And what's worse, this was a Mastery 8 weapon. So the final thing I wanted to talk about was what I want to see in the year to come. What has got me excited and what do I want to see coming in the near future? As I mentioned earlier, there is something going around with Nidus right now as soon as you go into the infested room. Again, no spoilers here, but I am extremely excited to see where the story goes from here. Especially now we have a new pet. I've got a video on that coming very soon. I am seriously looking forward to the new Syndicate missions, the assassinations and rescues that have been talked about on the dev stream. Further expanding this idea that there are people at work in the universe and the tenor are getting more and more involved. But more than this, I am looking forward to is the Focus rework. I've never liked the way we get focus, and the way we gain focus. I think it's far too slow outside of doing stealth farming, which all the new stealth changes came in to reduce the effectiveness of that. I'm expecting that the focus system actually moves the system onto our operators more than it does being an extra frame ability, and I'm excited for that. I just hope in the great rebalance the stuff like Zenuric doesn't get hit too hard, although I suspect it might, but I am excited to see where it all goes from here. I want to finish the video though with a heartfelt message of thanks, and that's to all of you for supporting me over the last year. I hit 20,000 subs just before New Year's last year, and here we are a year later, over 32,000 of you supporting me video after video. I officially went full time with YouTube in January of 2016, and I'm still going strong, and that is because of all of you. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to carry on doing something that I love. I've had the pleasure of dealing with some amazing people, from people like D. Rebecca, D. Drew, in fact the entire Warframe community team. Other creators that have given me a helping hand throughout the year with advice or bits and pieces for content, like Shy, Magamu, Potato, Hydroxy, Gay Guy Plays, Inogelian, Little Navi, Frozen Balls. The help from these people and more has been invaluable. And then of course you guys, interacting with you all in the comments. I've got such an incredible community here, as I showed with the second Nidus video, where you guys let me know a whole bunch of stuff I completely missed in the first one. I thank you all for an incredible year, and let's hope that 2017 I can carry on giving you content that you enjoy and can get involved with. So thank you all so very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.